Welcome to the Vintage House Show, WNUR's ARC Festival interview show for Labor Day weekend. This is a special edition of the Vintage House Show, which airs normally Wednesdays, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. We're going to be going 10 p.m. until midnight this particular Wednesday because we have a very special guest who's going to be featured at the ARC Festival. DJ Pierre, Chicago's own DJ Pierre. Welcome to the show, DJ Pierre.
Hey, what's up? Good to be here.
We have a special co-host for this particular show, a family member of the Vintage House Show, and also a pioneer to the house music scene, Mr. Louis Green. What up, Louis?
What's up? What's up? Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Pierre's inspired me my whole life, but go ahead.
Oh wow, that's cool.
That's a big statement.
I know that is a big statement.
If it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a Computer Madness, and that's a fact. Thank you.
That's quite humbling because that's one of my joints. That is. Hey, I think I played that last time I played one of the clubs in Chicago.
You did.
Like 2 years ago.
Did I send you the new version I did? No. I redid it on my, because remember, you're the one that told me, go back through it because I lost my sounds. And you said, man, just start making your sounds again and it'll come back to you. And I was like, man, Pierre, it was so hard, man, because I did that so long ago. And you said, no, just keep messing with it and it'll come back. And I did, and I got it, and I got my sounds back and I redid it and I haven't put it out yet. But I thought I sent you a copy. Roy's got a copy, but I got him trying to, keep
All
it.
right. Yo, after the show, you gotta hook me up. You gotta link me with that.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back. So DJ Pierre, you are a Chicagoan. Were you born in Chicago?
Yes, in terms of the Chicagoland area. But I was born in Harvey, Illinois.
Got it. So you're a Harvey, Illinoiser. So we like the South suburbs. That's great. So where'd you go to grammar school? Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school was Crete-Monee. Grammar school was even out in the south suburbs, Deer Creek. So yeah, way out south.
So you're a through and through South suburban guy. So that's interesting to know. Yeah. We've interviewed a lot of our goal is always to understand the different scenes in Chicago, how the North Side was interacting with the West Side, interacting with the Latin crew, how all of that intersected to, sort of create the musics that are house music. And so were you interested in music as a young person? What do you remember as a young person, sort of the first music that you heard? Did you play instruments? Talk to me about sort of your first introduction to music as a young person, sort of under high school age.
Oh, heck, you can go to third grade. I played in concert band and then went on to marching band, symphonic winds in high school. I played all percussion instruments and I played the clarinet. So I did music from third grade up into graduation. And even my first traveling experiences was through music in high school when we went to Canada and performed in different competitions and stuff like that. So, I mean, music has always been a part of my life, but even more so, my uncles and my father was also in music. My father also played the clarinet, and my uncle played the clarinet. My uncle played part-time with Duke Ellington. Every time Duke came to Chicago, he would only bring 6 of his orchestra. He had 12-piece orchestra. So he would find 6 people when he would tour in different cities, and he would use the same people. So my uncle was one of the people when he came to Chicago and stuff. So, I mean, music has always been there, but it wasn't something that I imagined doing as a career, so that part is actually, Spanky's fault for that, rest in peace. But it was his dream that led me to that. But yeah, I've always been in all forms of music, jazz, classical, even soft rock, and definitely funk, groups like Slave, Cameo, and stuff like that. So music was a thing to me before I knew it was really something that was in my heart. But I did know I listened to music differently. If I was listening to any songs, I didn't really sing the lyrics like other people sung the lyrics. I always would lock in on certain things in the background, whether it was the bass line or a drum pattern or particular nuances. I would just lock in on that. When people singing a song, I'm like doing a pattern of a drum beat in there and stuff like that. But the first thing in music and manipulating it, I could say was pause editing with cassette decks, whereas I would record music from the radio, back when there was radio, cassettes recording radio. But so I discovered, and I thought it was only me, but come to find out people were doing it in other places. But I would just lift up the pause button on beat and then just stop it on beat and then just rewound the other cassette deck and lift it up again on the same part to extend breaks. And I used to just play those mixes and edits of different people's music at the basketball courts when I was like about 13 or something. It'll be like older people there, but I'll just be on the side with my boombox blasting music. And I was kind of DJing at that point in time.
That is really interesting. So I'm going to go back a little bit because this is a hyper local show. In third grade, who introduced you to music? Was it just your school? Were your parents?
No, it was my parents, because I have older siblings and they all played music. I had two, my brother and my sister played the trombone and I played the clarinet. So they were doing it. My father introduced it to them though.
Got it. Because I wonder about that, because when you think about it today, schools don't have music programs. You don't have instruments there. How are people learning how to play the bass guitar, which I play, the drums, etc., if someone doesn't have the resources to buy equipment or find equipment and things like that? So third grade, you're in the band, you're moving that forward. And then at 13 or so, you've got a boombox. Who bought you the boombox? Did you have a job? How'd you get that boombox?
Oh, my parents, they got me the radio, got it for my birthday. And it's funny because, it was an accident that I even realized you can edit music with the pause button, but I was listening to all the music I recorded throughout the day on the radio. And then inadvertently, I must have lifted up on beat and stopped it on beat at some point in time. And I was like, whoa, I said, that thing went straight into the other thing. And I was like, oh, I see what happened. And so after that, I started doing it on purpose all the time. Like when the song come on, I wait till they stop talking, lift it up on beat. And I was making my own little sort of mix like that. And then I would start extending parts. And even at that point in time, I think it was a radio station called XFM. And they were playing these DJ mixes. And I was thinking they were doing it how I was doing it until one day I heard two records playing at the same time. I was like, what? How do they do that? I was like, how could they do that? Because literally, I had cheap cassette tape, right? So I recorded over some stuff. And one time when I lift up on beat, it was bleeding through the old song for like 3 or 4 beats. And I was like, whoa, it's mixing 2 songs at the same time. So I was trying to purposely do that and all this kind of stuff. And then on the radio, when I heard the DJs mixing, I was like, they can't be doing it like that. So that's what first got me interested in wanting to DJ, because I had to figure out how those people were doing it.
Got it. Talk to me about your first DJ gig. How old were you? Where was it? How'd you feel?
Where was it? That's a funny story. So I was about, let me see, about 17 maybe. And
so you're in high school. What year is that? 1980, 1980, 80 what?
Let me see. I graduated. It's like 83, right before right before my birthday come in July. And so I wasn't 18 yet. but I was still a senior though.
Okay.
So I was 17 and I got turntables. And so, but I got the turntables because I told my parents I want to be a DJ. So that's kind of when I started. But my first gig was one that I got on my own in terms of, this is in University Park. I went to the city, like council thing building or whatever, the little place up there. And I was like, hey, I'm a DJ, we should throw some parties for the kids. I was saying that. And I got hired to play 3 different gigs at different places in the city. And the first gig was at a barn. The reason I laugh at it because I'm DJing in a real barn with animals. And who starts their career like that? Because we had a place called the Regal Barn, and it was just really like a kind of small little barn. But I convinced them to clear out the inside of the barn and put some speakers in there, and we could just throw a party.
So who had the speakers? Who had speakers?
I had to make them. I just bought some 15-inch woofers, tweeters, and constructed a enclosure, and then just kind of like made my own speakers and stuff.
So you made your own speakers when you say 16 years old, maybe 17 years old, and you have your first party in a barn. How did it go? Did people come to it? How was it marketed?
It was packed. It was popping.
And how much did you get paid?
For the three different gigs for the summer, I got paid $500 total. I still got that check. I mean, the stuff, because I definitely spent that money, but I kept it though.
Got it. So you're at your first gig in a barn, and people are there. You say it's packed. You're on the turntables doing it. How did you feel? Did you know that minute this is what I'm going to do forever? Or how did you just think this was a cool thing to do for a second?
I hadn't considered that. Like, I hadn't really thought about it. Like, I think about kids today, they're thinking about their future way sooner than I really was. It was just something that I loved to do. And I did go to college, but it was, I was going to go into electronics, building computers and such, but the music was just fun. So I was doing it. And I didn't think I would be doing that, but I ended up doing it. Like, once I got my first record deal, I was like, okay, not first record deal, real record deal when I signed to Jive Records. But before then, of course, I did stuff on Trax Records. But
got it. Okay, so where'd you go to college?
Prairie State.
So South Suburbs, right? South Suburbs.
Yeah, Chicago Heights.
Stay there. And then you start, so clearly from the Red Barn, or from the barn party, you pick up and you're doing.
You made it sound even worse.
It's the barn party. You got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere. And so then how do you start then, tell me about, did you start creating music first? Or were you DJing first? How is it that?
DJing first. First. All right, now that's a definite unique story. So starting to produce music, that I never considered at all. I was satisfied with just DJing, But Spanky in school, he used to, in the hallway, he always tell me, yo, Pierre, man, we should make some music. I want to start a group. I want you to be a part of it.
That's Spanky.
And
what was your DJ name back then?
Dang, did the phone disconnect or something? Something happened.
Yeah,
But it's back?
It's back. I was trying to share the screen and show this picture.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it's somehow it's not going, but here we go. So can you see that or can you not see that?
Yeah, I do see it. But it
now.
disappeared again before I could make it bigger.
I don't know why it's not letting me share, but it's somehow not letting me share the screen. That's very strange. It's taking you all off. Okay, so you can see that, correct?
Yeah, I could see it. Oh,
so
you guys hear me? Hold on, I just can't get. Oh, okay, now I can see it. Where is that at?
So that is Roy and Spank and Louie and me at WNUR Studios in studio. I think that was 2016 or 17. You remember what year, Louie?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you, but I guess
okay.
I can't see you right now. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my computer. Let me try.
It's probably mine. It's probably mine.
Oh.
But this was in studio, and we can. you probably can't see it for some reason because I can't see your face either.
Yeah.
But in this conversation that we had some time ago before Spank's passing, which we think is probably one of the hold on a second. We think it's probably one of the last interviews that Spank did before he passed. We had a lot of conversation about you in that conversation, DJ Pierre. So I wanted to give some love to Spank in this conversation and Roy and everyone for being in that. It was quite that we had.
We were quite a force out there in the South, but to be honest, it's just now sparked on me just now looking at this picture and listening to what Louis said about me. But then it makes me go all the way back to Spanky, because he was the one that had this dream to do the music. So what he would do, what happened was I was DJing and he felt like I was the best DJ around, and Spanky wanted to team up with the person he felt was the most creative. So he found me. And then we were always in school. Every day he kept telling me about a drum machine. And he was like, Pierre, it's this thing called a drum machine and has drum sounds in it. And you can make beats and all this kind of stuff. And that's how they're making that music, man. We could make that music. And I would just say, okay. And I didn't really go deep into my thoughts of wanting to make music. But I was just like, okay, and I would say that, and every once in a while, he'd just remind me he's still gonna get it, and he would say, I'm gonna get it, I'm getting it soon. And then one day he said, Pierre, I got the drum machine, and then I came by his house, and then we started from that point on. We just kind of started messing around. Spank was always the one that was really making the beats, because in the beginning, I would just play his beats at my parties and then play acapellas over it. But long story short, it was his dream and tenacity and motivation to do music that just sparked us all on fire to do it. So
when did you meet Spanky? When and where did you meet Spanky, by the way?
High school. We went to the same high school.
Oh, so you went to Creep Money as well? So you met him there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Louis.
No, I was gonna say, you kind of gotta thank Herb too, right? Because Spanky had moved to California, and he didn't have plans.
Herb put him onto the music box. Yeah, he moved back because of Herb in the music. Because of Herb, I do remember that.
Herb wrote him a letter, old school letter, like, man, Spanky, you got to come back to Chicago. The music scene here is incredible. There's this place called the Music Box, and so then Spanky was like, I don't know, and then for some reason he came back. And so that, I think that's an inspiring part of the story as well, like that most people don't know.
Who's
that Herb J, he's one of the original members of Future. So it was Herb J, Spanky, Pierre. They were all the original members of Future. Yeah.
And how'd you meet Herb? Where did Herb come from?
Well, see, Herb was with Spanky. He was in school too. We all went to the same school.
Oh, so you all went to Creep Money?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we were all three just fumbling around doing the music, and I was the only. It's funny because Spanky made a wise choice in terms of he was someone who, I guess, when you look back at it, he knew talent, and he knew he had a knack for that, and he was the best at just catching a vibe and knowing what sounds hot and stuff like that. So when he got us together, we just started making tracks and making beats, and basically that's kind of like how I caught fire on wanting to do music. But I still didn't really know what house music was really all about, because at that time I was mostly playing like African Bambaataa and some other things, and I had a little hip hop crew, like breakdance crew and stuff like that. I mean, I did I was into industrial type beats and stuff like that, and craft work and everything, but I didn't know Chicago house. Maybe a couple of house tracks I might have heard before. Possibly I heard maybe a Jesse Saunders track or something, or even maybe Chip E, maybe. I'm trying to think, maybe Time to Jack. I'm not really sure, but I was still scratching at that point in time.
What was your DJ name back then, Pierre?
Quit trying to get me to say my DJ name. You're trying to bust me
I don't
out.
want to say it. I want you to say it. I don't want to say it.
So my DJ name at the time was he's funny. It was Scratching Pierre. But
nobody knows that, Pierre. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows the DJ name back then.
You know, and the thing is one of my first gigs besides the barn, my first gig that was like as more of a playing for people my age was at this place, another name, ice cream parlor. I hate saying all this. It sounds so crazy. Okay, it was this ice cream shop. But anyway.
This is what we do here. We love history. So you've got to remember the places, spaces, addresses, years. Keep going.
My stories sound so terrible, but anyway, they're too humble. That's too humbling. But anyway, so I was scheduled. I was about the gig was packed, and the needle someone broke my needle, and the whole party got canceled because no one else had any turntables. And then everybody left there saying, because my first name before Scratching Pierre is even worse, was Nat Jammin' Jones, but everybody said, we're never going to another one of his parties. And that's when I said, okay, let me change my name. So that's when Scratching Pierre came up.
That's the American way. You just, change the name and keep going, right?
Exactly.
That's what's up. So I'm going to fast forward just because we do need to get to the ARC Festival, which is happening this weekend, Labor Day weekend in Chicago. I believe Union Park. You can get your tickets at arcfestival.com. And you're on there with a lot of Chicago, sort of legends, DJ Heather, yourself. But then you've got some Seth Troxlers and some other sort of heavy EDM, sort of DJs. Talk to me about sort of these larger festivals and how you feel about, how you've escalated, sort of globally. How did that feel when you first started recognizing that, your contributions to the music world and to dance music were sort of blowing up and you were becoming bigger and bigger? How did that change your life? How did that make you feel? I know you left Chicago, correct? So, why did you just move? What else was going on that said, get out, I'm out of here?
Oh, easy. Chicago stopped loving us because the radio stations such as BMX and so forth stopped playing the music. The clubs started getting shut down. And then we were getting dogged out so bad by the record labels. But what happened with me is when I signed that deal with Jive Records, it exposed me to New York. Because I would go over there, I would fly out there and do remixes for people. And I'll be in the studio there. I'll be hanging with like KRS-One from BDP, all these hip hop dudes, Tribe Called Quest, all this stuff. And I started digging the scene there. And I was like, yo, this scene is official in terms of I can do business with these labels. That's what it was. And the scene in New York supported the music. Nice. So I seen life in New York. In Chicago, I seen death. So I was like, I gotta go. And the thing is,
what year did you leave Chicago and just become in more recognizing that New York and maybe other places? What year was that?
1990.
So 1990, you leave. How old are you in 1990?
90, I think I'm 25.
Okay, so that's a decent time. You've done what you could do here in Chicago, 25.
Yeah.
You're in New York City. When is your first, I know you said you were traveling overseas or across.
I didn't get overseas till 91.
Okay.
So all that time before then, because, Chicago was a city of gatekeepers. So the people that were getting out weren't even communicating how or letting other people in on that prospect. Mm-hmm. So, and unfortunately, Chicago's still a city of gatekeepers, but you know what? I just felt like we needed to play the game better, not destroy the whole scene to try to secure our own destiny and success. And I discovered that in New York, in other cities, they weren't like that. They still, every city has their things, but they wouldn't totally destroy everything just to make sure they happen and keep you from happening. So I was able to expand when I moved there. In fact, I had probably as much to do with the New York scene as the Chicago scene, which people haven't even really stopped to realize. That when I moved to New York in '90, Strictly Rhythm was just starting. And I ended up working with Strictly Rhythm. I put out most of my releases on Strictly Rhythm through the '90s. I did A&R work with Strictly Rhythm. I signed some of their biggest records there.
You signed some huge records.
Huh?
You signed some huge records with Strictly
definitely. Rhythm. So the Chicago imprint is all through New York, just because of my influence there with the label. And then it went to Europe in terms of through Strictly Rhythm, what we did. And I got Roy involved, Spanky involved. So I try to pull as many of my people as much as I can. And really the whole South Suburb kind of came up just because of what we were doing. But if you look at it, I was always about inclusion and pulling people with me as much as I could. And I just really think Chicago had dropped the ball on that. And then even in terms of right now, I'm hoping that maybe we can get reignited in terms of what's going on and the moves that people are trying to make to kind of get things going back again after this reset or whatever. And I just think I do appreciate Art booking the type of DJs that they did, because I believe that keeps enough of some of the history in what's going on with what they're doing with the festival. You know, I mean, you gotta like recognize what created this whole scene, period. People think it come from Europe, but it came from us in Chicago. It came from like Black people. They should be proud of us, to be honest. We got to own what we do. And that's the major issue. If you don't own it, someone else will.
Yeah, that's why we do the show. We want to make sure that histories are correct in their assessment of house music and its contributions to the general Black music forms, from gospel to blues, jazz, hip hop, etc. Mm-hmm. House is a major part of that, and birthed right here in Chicago by people like you. And that's why you continue to talk about the history of house music in your work. And as you're able to talk to people, Chicago's contributions are critical in that. And so we're just very pleased that you are as hot as you are on the scene, because you keep house music alive. Let's talk about the future of house music. Are you mentoring people? Do you see the future continuing to be Black, or there's a lot of European house music millionaires?
You said continue to be Black. You mean getting back to have some Black participation. But the thing is like now we're not even in the forefront of the music. And the only way we can achieve some of that ground back is for shows like this, and for the media in Chicago, in our city, to actually say, hey, you know what? Let's purposefully start promoting our own and the people that help create this music and the people that are trying to come up behind them, so that we can just grab back some of this scene to be like, hey, you know what? We did this. This is Chicago music. And it don't even got to be particularly all Black people, but it should be a movement for all Chicago people to kind of like band together and say, hey, let's kind of start working better together. And really the media in the city is what we're going to need most in order to do that. Because we could do whatever we're doing, but if publications outside of Chicago are dealing with me, it's always going to be colored from their perspective. And they're always going to angle it and push what their narrative is in front of what my narrative might be. I'll be included in it, but it's going to be about the overall narrative that they're trying to drive. So if we want to have any kind of control, we got to start like manifesting these things physically in the publications and media outlets that we have at our disposal. And I don't think we're doing that at all.
Hey,
not besides yourself, not on any movement type of way. You know, you can't have one person here. We got to be unified in that movement. We got to get that message out there.
I think one person can make a difference, and that can be you, DJ Pierre. I mean, we want to make sure that Chicago media is, you know, suggesting that, you know, we need to move and support this music. And someone like you, a pioneer like yourself, can make all of us think differently. So thank you for saying that. Louis, you had another question?
Yeah, Roy just texted me and he wanted me to ask you a question, Pierre. He said, are you going to bring back Future? And was what's the name of that? Oh, goodness, he just put it in my text message. Was University Park like our own little Minneapolis? He said it was Nate Williams, Roy Davis Jr., Professor Trax, Spanky Herb, and we were all there at the same time.
Yeah. That's what I've been like. We were like, you know, how what's that? Dang, what's the group that Ice Cube was in? What was it called?
NWA.
NWA. Right, so right. You know how they was always, it was like they would always talk about their city, and they put it on the map. It was big time. And it's kind of like what we were doing was like this suburban movement. So remember, well, you may not know, but so if I'm a suburban dude, and they kept calling me, everybody in Chicago, so you're a suburbanite, you don't know what's up. So they always try to shun me. But it's like I came in out of nowhere on them, because what happened was they didn't want to book me. But then I started playing Navy Pier, the Bismarck, you know, Pavilion. I started playing all these big events. So, and then I did the like Fantasy Girl and all this stuff. And it was like, we were having an impact from way out south on Chicago.
Right.
But it was a concerted movement. Some, you know, it's that thing where it's like, no, we don't want them, they getting too popular with it. So it was always that little fight up in there. But so we were doing a lot of stuff, and people never knew that we were just from this little old area outside, way out south.
Right.
And then we created Acid, which affected the whole world. Right. So that came from that little spot, that little city. But I always point back to Chicago.
Right.
So I'm not being the same. I don't, oh yeah, University Park. I just be like, yo, we Chicago. And I do that. So I've always held Chicago. But funny enough, it's always like, it's this thing. And I just think right now we got to put that aside, because of that infighting, you see what happened.
Yeah.
Now we're all sitting on, you know, almost on the side.
You always included everybody going back to Strictly Rhythm. You were talking about that. You brought Roy to Strictly Rhythm. Roy shared with me that when he was there, he made a lot of money with Strictly. And you protected the brothers too, because there were certain deals he was gonna sign that, you know, I don't want to speak about, you know what I'm talking about. And you told him, no, don't do that. You want to do this. And the guy was gonna rip him off. And so not only did you include brothers, but you also protected them and mentored them in the game when other people weren't doing that. And I think they weren't doing that. Yeah.
And furthermore, I took Roy and Felix to Chicago. and then so Felix House just played this weekend. So I mean, I brought him to the game. So you gotta think, so you gotta go back to Spank. Spank is like the OG granddad. He brought me in, and then from that, I bring Roy in, Felix a house cat. So it's like we were really doing something, and that, you know, was something I really believed in, because I that's how I grew up, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we have got to wrap it up, and I'm going to wrap it up with this again. Dive into the ARC Music Festival, which is Labor Day weekend. Do you know what day and time you play?
4:00. No, 2. I don't even know. I know it's Saturday. I think, you know.
So you play on Saturday. Everybody should be there all day on Saturday so they can check you out.
It's Saturday. I think I play at 2. So, which is funny. I'm not even gonna speak about it, but I play it too. So get there early.
Get there early. You see this list of folks here. Again, Seth Traxler, we got Gene Ferris, Hiroko Yamamura, who we interviewed a little while ago. Who out of this
Nicole Marnaber, you know, a lot of heavyweights. And you know, and the dope part is, let me tell you, so when I run into, the blessing is that we are well respected though, like in the industry. So if I run into any of them, they like very super respectful and humble and bowing. This is from David Guetta, Steve Aoki, Daft Punk, all of them. And you get that from them, but then when our it's almost like you don't get that from our own people. You know, it's like they, you know, yeah, I like, okay. So it's like, okay, all right. You know, it's like, so, you know, sometimes you always crave that from the people you love. You know, you want that. You know, you want that, and it will just put things full circle and make you feel like, hey, you know what? My people, they do respect and love me. And it seems like as a people, our whole thing, our whole life, our whole existence in this country has not been appreciated. And it's even a microcosm of that amongst each other. And so somewhere inside, you still want that. You know, it might be a little bit of a Stockholm syndrome situation, but you're like, hey, you dogging me out. I just want them to love me. So it is kind of there.
I think, you know, even Bob Marley suggested his own people did not appreciate his music because globally he was, you know, heralded by Europeans, and he really wanted Black people to hear his music. He wanted to be respected in the United States. And of course, after death, he is a worldwide phenomena. You know, we get to listen to his poetry and his words. But let me just share with you, DJ Pierre, everyone in the city of Chicago loves you. And we love how big you are. And we all take pride in when we see you on these major stages and festivals. And we're just very proud, you know, very proud of you.
Yeah.
I think you don't make me cry. Thank you for saying. Like,
oh, man, you inspired me, a lot of other people. When I heard Acid Tracks, you know, that's what gave me the idea for my track, because I didn't have a 303, right? So I was like, and in fact, I didn't know that you needed a 303 to do an acid track back then, because although it was known amongst certain people, like you said earlier, people kept stuff close to the vest. They wouldn't tell you. Yeah. So I had that little CZ 101 and I made a bunch of sounds, and I just started switching the sounds when I was making the record, because that's what acid tracks did. The sounds were changing through the whole record. So that's what I did. I didn't have a 303, so I did it the only way I could. So you guys, and then the way that you guys did the beat for acid tracks, that was like revolutionary, because nobody like built a track like that, where it came in with the, you know, with the bells and the whistles, and it just built, and then the bass line came in, it just kind of just rolled, and it was like, it was groundbreaking, you know. It was just like, you know, I
love hearing other people tell me, because, you know, when you're in the middle, or you be like, oh yeah, I never even looked at it that way, because we can't receive it that way because we did it. So like, I can't be like in a club, oh, what the heck is this track? Oh, wow, I can't do that. So me hearing that, I just sit here and be like, wow. But you know what? We got to do this again. Hopefully, you know, you guys, you have me back on, and we can really, really, really like get deep into all this information, because I'd like to be able to speak upon Ron Hardy and a couple of other cats, you know, that, you know, Ron Hardy's genius is why Acid Track even became why the name became that. So there's so much we haven't even touched upon.
Well, we would love to have you in studio. Again, we are in studio now, back in studio after COVID. We used to be in studio solely until the pandemic. And hopefully, anytime you're in Chicago on a Wednesday, anytime you're in Chicago, anytime, we'd love to have you in studio. We can record it there. We can have you on live, and we can have people ask questions live as well. So Many of your fans can ask you questions you can answer back. So
that's cool.
Fantastic. So anytime you're in Chicago, I know you're in Chicago this weekend. I don't know how much time you have. I don't have all your info, but I know NUR does. So maybe we'll get it and we'll chit chat beforehand and maybe schedule some time before 2021 ends. Okay.
Oh, for real. Hopefully. So I got a new spot there called Acid Space. So we definitely could talk about that. So
we need to talk about that.
Definitely. So we have a lot to speak upon.
Are you coming back to Chicago? Are you coming back to Chicago?
Ain't nothing happening in Chicago. You good.
I'll keep visiting.
But
I do stay for longer periods though, like a week or two and stuff like that.
Oh wow. See, that's great for us because then we can get you in studio. So guys, please for WNUR, the Vintage House Show, again, WNUR is 89.3 FM, Evanston, Chicago. We're on 89.3 FM. Please listen to us. Check out the ARC Festival. Check out DJ Pierre and this fantastic book that he picked up in Amsterdam. What's the name? Give us the front page of the book real quick. DJ Faces. We're intellectuals here at WNUR, so we want people to pick up some books and read.
Man, I didn't even like that picture they put in there, but I.
You look great. You look good, man. You look good.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, bye, everyone. DJ Pierre, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you. We love you.
Thank you for having me.
And we look forward to seeing you on Saturday at the ARC Festival.
All right,
check it out.
Too.
Have a good rest of the day.
All right, thanks. Peace.